future is here, and it's Web3. But people need more direction. And as I discussed with my guests today, some people entering the space interested to create don't even know what to Google or what questions to ask, which is truly a sign that while Web3 is here, it's extremely new. On this episode, I chat with Tomas Pansini and Adam Vallejo, two of the co-founders of Colabs, which is a full-stack Web3 development studio out of the New York, New Jersey area. Web3 creators need guidance, and Colabs is one-stop shop to help take any Web3 project from an idea to execution, is gaining real traction, and is likely to continue to bear fruits. While founded less than a year ago, Colabs is finding success offering their clients the priceless service of direction in the mapless world of Web3. I'm Jarrett Carpenter, and this is More Than Blockchain. Tomas and Adam, welcome to More Than Blockchain. How are y'all doing?
Doing
good.
Great.
Always good.
You know, in this Web3 world, in this podcast virtual world, I like to give people an idea as to how our circles kind of came into alignment here. And Tomas, I think this goes to you. And you had seen a post that I did. What was that on?
It was on Instagram. And I said, you know what? I'm going to just shoot him a DM. And if he answers, he answers. And it was something that we're actually working on Lion's Milk. And, you know, maybe there's a way that we could connect. And yeah, that was it.
That was it. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Thank you for reminding me, because I actually have it like in my mental notes of asking Tomas how we met. Was that the video that I put up from going to the cafe in Brooklyn?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Because Adam, the backstory on that is Tomas had sent me a DM, but because I don't think we were connected, it went into my scam DMs.
Yeah.
And if you are into crypto, NFTs, or anything, or honestly, if you're just on the internet,
you don't respond to scam.
Yeah, and I think I was telling Tomas the first, you know how you'll see one line and it wasn't $1 million change your life. And I was like, oh, okay. I clicked on it and I was like, oh, this seems like an actual real thing. So anyways, that's how we get here to the here and now. And
Nice.
Adam, I'm going to throw you the rock. Who are the founders and how did that happen? Who had the original idea? And who had the original idea, and then who started to say, hey, let me get my team together and let's try to solve this problem?
I mean, to go way back, if you want to go from the very beginning, it started off, I was working on an app, then Mas was working on an app, then we were working on an app together. The app really didn't work out too well. We saw NFTs were really taking off, and I remember just calling Mas one morning, and honestly, it started off with our nonprofit. I remember calling Mas one morning. I said, I have a really great idea. And I said, I know how we're going to get into Web3. And I remember telling him our whole For You Foundation idea, which was basically, it was going to start off with us creating an NFT project for a foundation and giving them at least, at the time, we wanted to do 100% of proceeds or whatever. But either way, it worked out to 75%. We're going to give them 75%. We'll keep 25% for operations. And we're going to set the standard for nonprofit NFTs. And then Mas called me back and said, hey, not only are we going to do nonprofit, and he was like, I have a great idea. And then he had called me back with the name Colabs, and he was like, we're going to do Colabs. And basically that's where it had all started. It started off with one phone call in the morning at 9 a.m. because we were we're done with the app. Web3's taking over, and this is what we need to do. And that's basically where it started. And then we basically just took our team from the app kind of, and took it over to NFTs, found our wizard developer through Nick, who's our project manager, and told Nick what we were thinking on doing. And he was a CPA at the time, and he was like, guys, I love this. Ended up quitting his job a month or two later, going full-time into Web3, and that's where we are.
Okay, so was the app related to Web3 or the app was something separate?
App was going to be purely for content creators. So if you were a content creator and you have YouTube, Instagram, obviously you have all these different outlets, our app was going to be the one-stop shop for all those outlets. So I could view your YouTube, your Twitter, your Facebook. I could view all of it through our app.
There's a more advanced Linktree.
Yeah, those have been popping up. I started with Linktree years ago, and now I use Links, Liinks.
I've seen that one. Yeah. There's so many of them. There's so many Linktree derivatives now.
There's so many. It's almost a race to the bottom, and I know that phrase can make people feel a certain way, but there are so many. And Okay, so this is interesting that you guys started off with an app that had nothing to do with NFTs or Web3, right? And then you somehow got to NFTs and Web3, which is fascinating because, and I think I pitched this to you guys off recording, and we can come back to this, but I'd love to come to Brooklyn, meet up, and do a thing between collabs, Crypto Witch Club, and More Than Blockchain. And if you listen to the Crypto Witch Club, their episode, they had two iterations of ideas or projects that kind of didn't get off the ground before they got to where they are today, which is Web3 NFTs. So it's almost like maybe to get into Web3 and NFTs, you have to not fail, but have huge learning experience in Web2 and then realize that Web3 is maybe what's more aligned. Tomas, I want to ask you this. So I think you said, let's do the 501c3 because I was going through the website earlier and I was looking and it said 501c3 partner. So are you guys a 501c3? Are you kind of like more of a social enterprise? Are you a for-profit? How does that work?
We are a 501c3, but the reason that we wanted to do that was because, you had all these nonprofits, and not shitting on other nonprofits, but a lot of them were just doing 5 or 10%, and they weren't, no one was showing where it was all going to. So we said, okay, as a 501c3, that's taking it a step further than all these other nonprofits. And like Adam said before, we really want to just set the standard.
I just want to add a 501c3. When you partner with another 501c3, it makes that project essentially a tax deductible project, depending on how you go about it. So basically, the way we look at it with Shiny and Friends, when we partnered with No Kid Hungry, we created a 10,000 piece project for them, where each piece minted provided, depending on the price of Ethereum, provides anywhere from 50 to 100. Anywhere from 500 to 1,000 meals to kids who are going hungry, depending on the price of eat. But either way, because we're both 501c3 organizations, and essentially the collection is priced at $10,000, we have two female artists who are not famous. So essentially, we're evaluating the entire collection at $10,000. So anything that you spend above $1 on one piece of art, it's going to be a tax deduction. So not only did we, I think we came out with one of the best causes, per piece of art, you're providing anywhere from 500 to 1,000 meals to kids who are going hungry right here in the US, but furthermore, it's tax deductible. So that was our very first project and like how we got into the space. And I would say we know a fraction of what we know now, and we have probably about 25% of the connections then than we do now. We have way more connections now. We know the path we need to be on now, I would say. So I think everything that we execute from here on out is going to be that much better, and I still have hope that Shiny and Friends mints out. Still want to push that.
And I'm going to add one more thing, that when we say the word partner, people ask us, oh, you shouldn't be just throwing that word around. We actually do partner with these companies, and it's not just something that talked about and okay, this amount of money is going to get sent to you when this mints. It's an actual partnership that we do.
How long has collabs existed? Like, when was it? I'm assuming, like, the story in my head is that it started in 2021, somewhere in 2021, maybe summer of 2021. That seems to be when a lot of people had epiphanies and walked away from their jobs.
I guess inception was last October is when we started both.
We didn't really start pushing collabs until March on, doing following on Twitter. That's really it. That's where all of our customers come from, is Twitter, because that's where the NFT space really is right now. And then, adding in the hexagons for NFT Twitter, it really helps.
Wow, that's a really cool thing, because I think sometimes people, they're like, okay, why have NFTs on Twitter, right? I'm sure many people, myself included, like, okay, how does this add value? And then when I realized I had to pay extra, that was kind of like that small little amount of friction that like made me think, you know what, maybe I'm not going to do this. But hearing you guys be like, no, NFTs on Twitter revolutionized the way we're able to, it was a marketing tool of some sense.
For sure.
Did you guys just see sales, if you look back now and look at those 6 months, did you see sales jump?
So it took me, so no one on the team, like I went to school for marketing, but no one on the team really knew what we were going to do and how we were going to find our clients and stuff. So it was more just trial and error on trying to build a following base on Twitter. And I was like, okay, I'm following people on Twitter, and you can only do so much per day before they say, okay, you get banned. suspended. So you put in Twitter jail. So after that, I was like, okay, you know what? There has to be a more effective way, because the turn rate was 15 to like 20% of people were following back per 400 follows. So I was like, okay, let me try following hexagons. Instead, I followed all these hexagons, and we were getting the same amount of people following back percentage wise, but the engagement was different. It wasn't like random accounts that turned into scam accounts that had following us, or ones that could have been bots. It was more people that love the space and interact with what we did, and we got more clients that way. Yeah.
Yeah, once again, I never would have thought like I never would have thought how that would have influenced so many web3 consultancy type companies like what y'all are doing in that moment. It just didn't, there wasn't a value add, but now seeing you guys, it's kind of like seeing a hex is kind of like a bat signal. You
For
know that
sure.
these people are ready to play. And I've never, and now that I think about that, it's like, yeah, if I think about the engagement I have with people on Twitter, some of the people I engage with most, especially in the NFT and crypto space, have the hex. They have a PFP up. They're in Psychedelics Anonymous, they're in Doodles, they're in whatever they are, and they're definitely being more active on Twitter. And so, continuing on, when it comes to marketing, Tomas, what's more important in NFTs right now for you guys as consulting? Like, how big of a role does marketing play in the things you're trying to do with collabs as you build the brand?
Okay. Well, I'm going to add to the point that we were talking about before. When you see someone on Twitter and they're like, hey, promote your NFT through me, and it's a bored ape, and then you have a bored ape as a hexagon, and you have a bored ape as a circle. If you're not a hexagon, why in the world would I ever spend my money for you to market my product or my project? It just is like another validation of NFT Twitter. Like, why would I sit here and try to believe someone that possibly doesn't have this NFT? But moving forward with collabs, and what we do now is we've reached out to about 10 to 15 different marketing companies that are in the Web2 space moving into Web3, or people that have only started as Web3. And as projects come into us, we've seen a lot of projects not fail. They just haven't done as good as what they think they're going to do, because they don't put money into marketing. They think everything's just so easy to just get their project out there and it's going to sell out. It's never works like that if you don't put money into marketing at all. Like it's literally impossible.
They think they know, that they have the right connections. We'll get some people say, hey, I'm connected with this person, and this person. My project's going to sell out. I've seen this person sell out projects. They're going to sell out my project. I'm like, all right. Well, you know what? We believe you. We'll take your word for it. We work on the project. We drop the project. Not even 5% sells out.
And as those projects come into us, we've learned at this point, like, okay, don't believe everyone. It's, ask them what kind of community they already have built. Do they have money for marketing? And from there, with how we have our pricing range, we have a moving scale that if you pay less upfront, we'll take on more equity, because a lot of people don't want to pay more upfront, but we'll take more equity as long as you have community or have money for marketing. If you don't have that, then we're not going to do that, because we don't want to screw ourselves. We love to work on every project. It's just, you can't give us something that's not going to allow us to generate any type of revenue.
What you just said, I think, is so key to the space, right? This is supposed to be a trustless space where we don't trust, we verify. So that's kind of what you're saying. You're like, yeah, okay, I'll take your word for it. But if you don't bring a lot of money up front, then we're going to get more equity on the back end, and we're not going to play ball unless you have a community and you also have some marketing, money set aside as the project grows. Marketing plays a huge part, definitely having a community. What's a red flag other than people not having marketing or people not having a community for an NFT project just in general, or things that you guys see, maybe not from clients you've said no to, but just in general, what are the things now that you think are just red flags for the NFT world where we are now, which is in July of the crypto winter?
I wouldn't say a red flag. This is a red flag. I just think the lack of knowledge of knowing what needs to be done. You'll get people who come in, and I'm talking mainly individuals. Companies have a little bit more of an idea of what to do, but mainly like individuals come to us and say, hey, I have a really great idea. I have an artist. Then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna launch this project. But they don't know, hey, do you have a Discord set up? Do you have a community manager? Do you have like schedules for spaces or Twitter spaces? Because that's like a huge space to be taking advantage for all the NFT communities hanging out. And they're like, no, 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 I just have art. Like you really, I feel like the lack of, I wouldn't say it's a red flag. I just think the lack of knowledge, knowing what needs to be done to be successful. Because just because you have good art doesn't mean like your project's going to sell out. You need people who are going to be pushing it. You need to be committed to it. And I think when we had some consultations with some consumers and we're like, hey, this is what you need to do. You need a community manager. You're going to need to spend money on this. You're going to need time to do this. And they're like, they sit back and they're like, wow, I don't have time to do that. And it's like, all right, well, then you may have to reevaluate what you're doing because you're going to be spending all this money and it's not going to be worth it.
Is there a ratio, like a golden ratio? And I think about this a lot when I look at potential NFT projects. I go into their Discord, right? And if they're trying to do a 10,000 drop NFT project, I like them to have a 4-to-1 ratio. So what I mean is I like 40,000 Discord followers to their 10,000, just so I can even get over the mental leap of them potentially selling all 10,000 if I'm only looking at it from, hey, I'm trying to flip. Is that a 4-to-1? Like, do you guys have a golden ratio when it comes to Discord followers?
I would say that's right around where I'm thinking 50 to 60 though. But at that point, it's like I'm looking into how many of them are bots. And same thing for Twitter. Is like a lot of individuals buying into projects won't even look at people's Twitters just because they have a check mark and they have 50,000. Like, I don't know if everyone knows, but you can just go online and buy a Twitter that has all those followers. And then if you don't do your research or your due diligence, then you kind of just, you're going to end up losing money.
There are a couple people that always interact with, if I put up hashtag crypto or hashtag
All bots.
NFTs. Yeah, and they have like 130,000 followers and they're only following like 10 people. And they have a really cool artsy bio, something like yoga, meditation, and vibes. And and then they have a PFP, and I'm just like, my comment wasn't that great. I'm sure you have better things to do, so I'm assuming it's a bot, and it always makes me
100%.
feel uncomfortable. And I've actually put up, I think I put it up on Reels and Instagram, maybe for More Than Blockchain, but it's just a screen share of my phone, and I'm just scrolling up through comments on an Instagram post where I had put NFTs, hashtag NFT, because it's just all of these follow here to get marketing, follow here to get marketing. So I guess this is, I'll get off my rant about how much scamming there is in NFTs, crypto, blockchain, in this space. But I think that brings me on to my next point when it comes to building trust. And I remember I was reading on the website about how you guys kind of do the KYC for people. You build the Veritas in, you bake it in because it needs to be there, just due to how much scamming and how much fake accounts and how, this, I get to see you guys, I can see your faces here, right? I believe that you are real people, but a lot of times, even when you're in the Twitter spaces, as you were talking about, it will be some PFP and someone, and you have no idea who this person is, right? You have no idea what their intentions are. I was part of Wonderland. I lost some money. They had a guy, part of that, Sifu, who had history in rugs. With what's happened with Luna, with what's happened with Celsius, with what's happened with Three Arrows Capital, I feel like we're in a moment of a lot of distrust. And so we go back to the let's not trust, let's verify. So how do you guys walk through when you get a client to build that immediate trust?
The reason that we built collabs was because we didn't, it's so there at the time when NFTs and Adam and I and everyone on the team were looking at NFTs, there was about 2.5% or 2% of the world that knew about NFTs. So let's just say knew. And do they really know? I don't know. The reason we built collabs was because we don't want those people to get scammed anymore. We don't want them going to Fiverr and finding devs that they're just messaging for 10 minutes and they're like, okay, I need $1,500, $2,000 to do this. And when you get the work back, yeah, they have all 4 or 5-star reviews. That doesn't mean that the projects that they've done in the past are even legit. Like they could be legit. They're just, it's not good coding, stuff that they shouldn't be putting out to begin with. So we don't want you going to Fiverr, finding a developer. Then you have to go to Twitter, find an artist. We don't want you to search all over the place to make your one project come to life. We wanted to create an area, the central hub, the one-stop shop that you can come and say, okay, they're giving me information here that's important. And I know these guys are legit because they've done all the research that needs to be done for the developers that they have and the artists that they have and all the good things to create your project. So that's why we created collabs, because we don't want people to get scammed. And that was the point.
Well, I just wanted to add on how we create that like KYC like nature when we like meet with a client, and with every client we're on a Zoom call, cameras are on, we're asking questions, and we honestly don't charge for like our first few. We honestly, I'll be very honest, we haven't charged for a single consultation to this day, and sometimes we'll have like 4 consultations with someone and they might not even go with us, but those 4 consultations, we helped them form their idea even better, gave them even newer ideas, and then showed them how they could execute their project even better. And I feel like that is so valuable in itself. And we're spending anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes with every client per consultation, and it's completely free, and we're helping form their idea. And I think that's, you know, value added in and of itself, because I don't know of anywhere else where you can go and, hey, I want to, you know, look at your service, I kind of want to use it, and then that person will literally help you with their service for free and say, hey, this is how you should do it, this is what you need to watch out for, you're going to need X, Y, and Z, and by the way, here's the list of, you know, what you need to look for. And if you want to use us, you can. If you don't, it's all right.
So Collabs is a 501c3 or it's not? Can you speak on that?
So For You Foundation is a 501c3, and that's what we use to partner with other nonprofits to create NFT projects and give them revenue into Web3. Collabs is where we just help anyone, not specifically nonprofits. It would be individuals and companies, and create NFT projects for them.
Okay.
So that would be the main difference.
Okay, got it. For You Foundation, nonprofit, Collabs, for profit. So For You is just exclusively for nonprofits, so that way that aligns better with the tax deduction situation. And then with Collabs, this is anyone. This is like Budweiser comes to you guys and they're like, hey, this is what we have an idea for an NFT project. Can you help us launch it? What's the project timeline for something? So I'm Budweiser. I come to you guys and I say, hey, I am trying to get this NFT collection off the ground because we're about to do 100 years of Budweiser. This is all hypothetical. I don't know how long Anheuser-Busch has been around. But they're like, we're going to do this 100-year anniversary. So we're going to have 100 exclusive NFTs, and they're going to be of the Clydesdales in 3D. I don't know. I'm just making this up, right? How long from the initial conversation to launch? Like, and they're like, hey, you know what? I'll give you a better time frame. They're like, hey, we need this in 3 weeks. Our budget, don't worry about budget because we're Anheuser-Busch. So what would that look like, and is that doable? Is there a minimum amount of time where you guys are like, hey, we need this much to really make sure that we're going to set ourselves up for success, to make sure we're under promising and over delivering?
I think with any type of money, you can get it done. I think if they say, hey, we have money's not an issue, then hey, all right, we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it done. If money's not an issue, it would get done. That's
just
all
put it in as a rush order.
Yeah.
But our like average timeline is, we'll automatically just say a month and a half. If we're doing a website, if we're doing a minting page, and we're doing a simple, well, not simple, but a minting contract, it will say a month and a half, just because we don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I was wondering on that, because I just don't know how quickly these things turn around. With the amount of NFT projects that are out there, from a consumer standpoint, it's like this thing must be easy to put together. And there's all these TikTok videos, which are like, get someone on Fiverr, create the 10,000, open up this, start a Discord, get 90% bots, get 10% of people in there that actually have cash. I mean, just, from the outside, it looks easier than it clearly is. And so, for sure. I think, Adam, you were speaking about how sometimes people come in and they just don't know what they don't know, right? So they're unknown unknowns. But what are some like known unknowns that people come with? So they're like, we are really not sure on this. Is that strictly just the technical part, or is there something else?
I would say both the technical and marketing side, because a lot of people are still trying to figure out how to market their NFT project. They don't know, especially now with the way that goblins have really changed the way you should market your NFT project. I think everyone's kind of in limbo right now on what they should do. They don't know if they should charge. Should they do a certain amount free and then start charging? But then the problem with that is you sell out all of the free mints, and then it's like completely slows down. Some people don't want to pay after that free mint. So I think the main hurdle right now for people is probably marketing, because they don't know what they should do, if they should charge or not, because honestly, there's so many free mints that come out every single day. Why am I going to pay for your project when I know there's a free mint going to come out today and I'll most likely make my money back, when I might invest $70 to $100 in you and I may not make anything back. And that's sad to say it like that, but that's the way that I feel like a lot of Web3 people are looking at NFT projects. It's not, I appreciate the art. It's, hey, this is going to make me money back, which is sad, but I just think that's where we are right now. And I think Goblins really broke the way to market your NFT project, because now you really can't, I don't think you can charge right now and sell out.
I have one to add that people, like going back to Fiverr again, people know that they shouldn't go and get a developer from Fiverr, but they don't know where to go otherwise than that, because there's nothing out there yet that, like, that's like, again, the central hub. And this is an example from 2 weeks ago. We met someone at NFT NYC. I'm not going to give out names and stuff, but they reached out to us and they say, hey, can you do a smart contract audit for us? We got a developer off Fiverr and I just feel like I should get this done. So we did it for them, and we looked over the contract and everything, and it wasn't right. It's not something that you should put out, because you're going to end up ruining your project. You're going to ruin your one chance that you had at building a reputation in the Web3 space. And then no one's going to want to buy a project from you after that. So we're redoing everything for them and doing, their whole project over for them again. But they know that they shouldn't be buying from Fiverr, but it was cheap. And at the time, they're like, oh man, like meeting all these people in NFT NYC, I can't screw this up. So let me just do it correctly from the beginning and lose, $1,500, $2,000 to get that contract done. But let's just do it correctly.
I'm always curious about how long the Web3 collective societal memory is, because like in society, I'm throwing air quotes, you guys can see this, but like in normal society, if you mess up, right, you do something that society's like, hey, that's not cool. If you wait 6 to 12 months, people forget. And then you can kind of come back into society and continue where you were. I don't know if that's the same in Web3. And I'm speaking more, when I say Web3, I'm going to speak more about crypto. Because like people like the Luna guy, he can't come back. He's not going to be able to come back and play for 10 years. I'm thinking minimally. And some of the guy Daniele from Wonderland, because I'm part of Wonderland, I don't know how he comes back. So I do think there's a lot to be said about making sure you kind of have one shot at this. I feel like it's a very non-forgiving community if you come out and create something that's going to create a space for people to lose money, whether you intentionally do it in a rug or you unintentionally do it just by not getting your stuff together. And like you're saying, using a Fiverr contract creator where there's just going to be, it's not going to be able to scale, or there are going to be issues in the future with the metadata, et cetera. So and now I want to shift, and I want to talk about something that I saw on your website, but I want you to speak about more because I'm very interested, and it has to do kind of with this idea. And it seems like you guys may be in the same thing where you haven't launched yet, maybe just because I'm not sure. And I want to ask you, so it's the access pass, because I'm checking it out. It looks really cool. There's 4 different levels, but the mint date is to be determined. And I'm assuming the story in my head is, hey, these guys have way too much on their plate day to day, and they have not thought about how they're going to finish the cherry on top, right? 99 is not a 100. So when you have 100% of it, then it will launch. Is that a similar thing? Are you guys also taking your time on this and being really intentional?
Absolutely. I think we want to see what happens with the market. And just as I stated, we really didn't want to come out with that for free. And right now we feel like if it's not for free, it's not going to sell out. And I think that's going to be such a valuable pass, being that it gets you on any allow list or whitelist, whatever term you use, for any project that we're essentially partnering with. So at any time you could have the next, Bored Ape, Goblin, whatever you call it, in your access pass. So for us to give that away for free, I think would be not right. I think it's very valuable for all the work we've been doing. So we're definitely waiting to see when, this whole free marketing strategy, free mint strategy kind of changes.
And it's not projects that we just work on. It's other projects that we reach out to and say, hey, do you want to be part of our access pass in exchange for whitelist spots or allow list spots? And something else that I want to talk about is we promote collabs more on Twitter than we promote our own projects. because we are a full stack Web3 development studio and we want to offer people our services. It would be cool to have our own project, but we haven't been building to make that type of community. So we knew that whatever we were going to release, our Discord does not fit the numbers and the ratio that we should have to release a project. So we don't want to release something that's not going to, do well with the numbers.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that was the case, and I just wanted to dive deeper. And can one of you speak on what the access pass is? Because it sounds very dynamic and very interesting, and the randomization of the contract sounds also really cool. Can you speak on how it would actually play with other projects and what it would give people?
So essentially, it's an access pass that gets you on a allow list for any projects that we partner with. Now, it comes in 4 different tiers. Tier one is a one of one. We're only making one of that access pass. And the reason for that is whoever gets that access pass, they can essentially turn it into us, transfer us that NFT, and we'll do an entire NFT project for them for free. So whatever they would like to do, with whatever parameters they would like within reason, it can't be anything crazy. But yes, we would do essentially an NFT project for them for free. But with that, each tier has a different level of priority. The one of one will always get essentially an allow list spot. So let's say we get 50 allow list spots from a project. Tier one of one is always going to get one allow spot. Tier two would get probably 75% of what's left. Tier three would get like 20%, and then tier four gets that 5% of that 19 that would be left, because tier one of one always gets one. And that's essentially how it would work.
Is anyone else doing this as far as like being a hub that has access to all these other NFTs, and then they're going to give kind of like a skeleton key to all of them? Is this I've just never seen this before, which is why I was so curious.
I've never heard of it. I know there's other companies that are attempting to do what we're doing, but I don't think they have an access pass. I've never heard of that by anyone. So I think we're going to be one of the first, if not the first.
The reason that we're doing this is because between ourselves and other people that want to get into NFT projects, but they're not in the alpha groups. So we wanted to create, I guess, our own alpha group, because we couldn't even get access to these big projects with all these projects that are blowing up. So we wanted to give people a fair chance with projects that they should be able to get in on the allow list.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool concept. And thank you for speaking a little bit more on that, because I do think sometimes, and I've actually never grinded a Discord to get on a whitelist, but I have many friends who will. I just won't. I don't have that patience. I also feel like it's like digital hazing. Feels like I'm in a fraternity again, and it's like you have to do these things, and I'm like, I don't like when people tell me what I have to do on the internet. So I think it's really cool that you have this, and I also think it's going to allow people to maybe dive in and get their feet wet into NFTs, into different NFTs that they wouldn't have access to without literally putting in the proof of work of grinding some whitelist on some Discord and like, getting to silver level or gold level or whatever, whatever the levels they are. I want to ask you guys quickly about what are the biggest reservations or the pain points that you find with people coming from Web 2 to Web 3? Many, I'm assuming in the story in my head is that many of the companies you work with are Web 2 companies that are just trying to add a Web 3 element, whether it's a nonprofit that wants to raise money, like you were saying, for, to solve the food insecurity issue stateside, or it's another nonprofit trying to solve another social problem. What are the barriers for them to change their mindset to get into Web3? If they have the money and, like, what are the things? I'm assuming it's a laundry list of a couple things, but I'm hoping you guys share some things. And I ask this because I'm sure that there are many people listening who are like, okay, these guys run a creative design, full stack, full studio ready to help onboard anyone into Web3 to leverage blockchain to help their company. These are the things I would think would be barriers, but what are the barriers you guys have run into, and what's one more specifically that has kind of surprised you?
I'm just going to say education. And I was having a conversation with this guy who runs his own dentist's office. And he said, my problem is, he goes, I love crypto. I love stocks. I said, he goes, my problem is that I don't know where to begin. I have no idea what to look up. I don't know what a mint is. I don't know how to do this. And then he goes, when I look up a mint, he goes, where do I go from there? What's the next step? Like, in order, how do I find out what I need to do to get into NFTs? And to him, all I explained was, it's The same thing as investing in stocks, the same thing as investing in crypto. It's a more fun way to hold something in a wallet, in a MetaMask wallet, that is now yours, and you get utilities and perks behind that. You're investing in a startup or a company that's already running, and you're really investing on their roadmap or their vision. And will they keep that roadmap or vision running as long as you invest in it? And the problem is education, and it's hard for people to look up what they need to look up because they don't know what to look up. So I think over time we'll see more people on TikTok, more people on Instagram, really posting individual little tips about what NFTs are, if that makes any sense.
I would add, for barriers to entries is reaching the right audience. I think a lot of companies and individuals may have a great idea, have the art, have the money, but they're like, hey, I want to make sure I'm reaching the right audience, because if I spend all this money on marketing, I want to make sure it's getting to these NFT people. So we help in aligning that and showing them where they should be spending their time and money to reach the right audience, so that they're not wasting marketing on Web2 people who not going to know what's going on. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's another huge barrier, is they don't know where to look to reach the right audience and get the proper engagement.
And something else I'm going to add is that crypto has been around for about 14 years now. So in crypto, you had naysayers in the beginning and like, oh, it's not a real thing. It's not a real thing. But now you have all those same people that were just investing in stocks and they're like, oh man, I'm going to miss out. I'm going to miss out. So you have a lot of naysayers and people who don't believe in the space yet, but it's growing, and you could see that it's growing. And if you don't follow all these people on Twitter like Adam and I do, and you do, you will not see all the related topics about NFTs and Adidas getting into it and Pepsi and all these bigger companies. So it's more hidden from the everyday user.
Something I heard the other day and I thought it was really quite brilliant was that in the future, when I say the future, let's just say in 10 to 15 years, right? We're not even going to call them NFTs. You're just going to
100%.
say my digital pass. You're going to just say, hey, I'm going to say, hey, you know what, Adam, Tomas, I got tickets tonight. Let's go. And I'm going to take out my wallet and scan, and then there's my NFT. And so I wanted to say on a brand point, I love what you guys have done because you guys are just called collabs. As soon as I saw this and I heard about this, I was like, oh, damn, I'm calling my podcast More Than Blockchain, which is going to, in the future, seem like more than the internet, because it's going to be so obvious and ingrained in our society. When you guys think of branding and NFTs as you move forward and just of any project, if I gave you guys $2 million and I said, you have to buy however many NFTs you want, but you have to use this $2 million and you could buy one NFT, you could buy many NFTs, you could try to buy a bulk of a collection. Which ones would you buy knowing that you wouldn't be able to sell them for a decade? Meaning, what are the projects you guys are like really gung-ho about that if money weren't an option, you had $2 million, which ones would you buy to hold in the collab's treasury for rainy day problems? Meaning like, we're going to hold this as just, it's like stock,
Honestly, I'm splitting it between the two kings that I think are right now, and I'm doing 5 milli right into Doodle. I mean, half 1 mil right into Doodles, and I do 1 mil right into Bored Ape, and I'll hold those for decades.
All right.
I think those two are going to be around.
Tomas, were you going to say the same?
No, I got a different answer
Okay.
because after NFT NYC, you had all these other events that weren't at the marquee, and it was like, oh man, like I want to go to that. I want to go to that. If they had parties and they're taking their money that they've got from people buying into their project and they're really doing real life utility, you had geckos, you had cool cats, you had doodles, you had Bored Ape. The ones that really care about their fan base and community is the ones I would invest in. So there's ones that the Cool Cats event was just awesome. It was fun. It was fun to go to, and I just wasn't expecting that from a project that you just don't see running around as much as Doodles and Bored Ape. But I loved it. It was fun. So yeah, those are some that I would invest in. Cool Cats, Doodles, Bored Ape. I think I have enough money to buy into all of them if you give me 2 mil.
So Cool Cats is actually something that came up the other day with one of the guys who's been guest on the podcast. His name is Brendan, and he is like, I call him my NFT guru. And I say this because anytime he has told me about a project, it's on the runway and it's about to go, terminal velocity. He told me when the Mutant Apes was at 5, he said you should probably buy. You should just buy into this and don't ask me questions. And then when it hit like 55 as a floor price, he was just like, yeah, okay, there's that. He also got into Psychedelics Anonymous super early. He got in a couple other ones really early, and he has had unbelievable success in flipping, which is not something that other people should try to mimic. Like he puts in the work on Twitter and he puts in the work on all this stuff. But he did mention Cool Cats, and I was looking at it the other day, and I was like, oh, okay. And I also, is Cool Cats the one where they have like, there's all different cool animals? There's like cool mice, cool raccoons. Is this the same one? There's like different iterations and animals from the same, from their quote, and this is bad, I don't know this, from their Yuga Labs. Have you seen this?
I have not seen it, but I'm going off of just what I seen with my own eyes at NFT NYC and the amount of hype and what they were just doing. So
Okay, cool. Well, this is good. This is going to give me incentive to go later down the Cool Cats rabbit hole once again, because I remember looking at it and I was like, oh, okay. And some of the more well-known names that he had mentioned are buying into it from, the NFT Twitter, right? Which, as you guys were saying, is honestly its own little Alice in Wonderland like rabbit hole, right? Where if you're not
mhm.
in it, you don't even know that it exists. Uh, as we kind of come to the end and wrap up, I want to ask you both for your opinion on what is the short-term future for NFTs and what's the long-term future. And I'll give you an example. For me, the short-term future of NFTs is PFPs are going to die slowly. And the long-term future is they're going to, like I said, be concert tickets. They're just going to start to embed themselves in almost any time we have need for exclusive access. This could be to a bank. This could be to a social event. This could be to, I'm going on a cruise. This could be anything. But that's kind of where my take is. And I'd love to hear both of y'all's takes because you guys are in it and you guys are kind of seeing how things are evolving. And we spoke a little bit earlier about how Ethereum has just, put out ERC. And once again, I'm going to blank on the numbers and I'll have it in the outro because I'll look it up. But where you can rent. And you were saying, Gary Vee's done this from the jump. I know Decentraland's had this for a while in their casino. So it just seems like it could go many different places, but I'd love to hear where you guys think it's going to go.
So I'm thinking exactly what you said. I've been telling Moss this for a while that it's just going to be in everything. It's going to be your Amazon membership is going to be an NFT. Tickets to any type of event is going to be an NFT. So I'm just waiting for that. Honestly, I'm waiting for these bigger industries to start adopting it because then we'll know it's mainstream. I think that'll happen once the government gives it a name because obviously, like you said, it's not going to be called NFTs anymore. The government will come out and say, hey, we defined it as this and this is how we're going to track it and blah, blah, blah. So I think short-term wise, you're correct too, that PFPs will most likely die. I think people are already shying away from that, getting away from PFPs and trying to do, more interactive type NFTs. So I think you're spot on, honestly. That's my same prediction is PFPs die and NFTs take over everything. I'm still, my joke with Moss is I'm still waiting for the first priest or like pastor to take over and be like, hey, I'm using crypto only. Everything will be on blockchain. You'll see exactly where my money's being spent. I think that guy's going to take off, honestly.
I think that the blue chips that are here and are here to stay will be the PFPs that we have for the future because those people love to identify themselves as people that got in early and really made a name for themselves. Like you said, it won't be called NFTs later on in 2-3 years because we don't want to lose people and scare people from getting in. It'll just be a digital asset and it'll be more like a trophy in your wallet. So for the long term, from going back to NFT NYC again, VC firms coming up to us and speaking to us, all of them had the same thing. All of them said the same thing. It's you guys have, not tooting our own horn here, but you guys have one of the better projects that are in here because it's not about creating your own Bored Ape and hoping it's the next blue chip. It's about the tech that's behind it. So you're going to see a lot of tech that comes out that's like, oh man, like that's cool. And that's what's needed to make this keep going.
Yeah, finally on the tech, and this is actually something that came up in one of the most recent episodes of Not Crypto Bros, is looking at Ethereum, Solana, Cardano. I think those three are the ones we talked about. Are you guys I think you're just doing Solidity. Are you just doing Ethereum? And if so, If I came to you and said, would you do Solana? Would you do it? And then in the future, do you think that Solana or Cardano, or there's going to be any other blockchain or crypto, I guess we should say, that's going to sustain the community of NFTs or digital assets, as we will maybe call them, that will be better than Ethereum?
It's hard to say. Honestly, I think ETH is king, and that's why we use it. I don't think ETH is going away. And as long as Yuga is still using ETH and they're the king of NFTs, in my opinion, right now, I don't think we're not going to use it. ETH. I think we're going to stay on there as long as all the blue chips are on there. And as for the Solana question, we've been looking at it. We would work on it. Honestly, we don't like Solana too much, but we wouldn't say no if someone came to us and said, "Hey, I want this project on Solana." We've already been looking at it. So,
what are your reservations with Solana?
I just know that our developer doesn't like working on it, and I know there's been some major issues with Solana and just some like sketchy stuff that happens over there. So, especially recently. So I know we've been trying to shy away from using it just because we don't like what's been going on with the recent actions that have gone on.
Tomas, you want to add anything on that?
They just have like little things that happen with like crashes and stuff that it's not that we wouldn't do Solana or we wouldn't work on Solana, but we've, like you said, ETH is king, and we've been sticking towards what we know, and it's just, we'll try and take over in the ETH space with becoming that full stack Web3 development studio that will take on every project in the Ethereum space. But we're not opposed to doing any other type of blockchain.
And I think as we scale, because we've only been around since, like Matt said, we've only been pushing this since March. And once we scale, we're going to be going for some Series A here very soon to really boost us. I think we'll have every type of developer you can think of. So there's not a blockchain we won't be able to work on.
What does success look like? And then what does failure look like in 5 years for you guys?
I've failed a lot. I failed a lot, but I do not quit. I don't like to quit, and I'll just keep going until it's a thing, because there's literally no other option. I don't have a plan B for anything, and I don't think our team has a plan B for anything.
There's no failure.
There's no failure.
There's no basically 5 years from now, there's no failure, because I think 5 years from now, if we're not the king of and the hub of Web3, we messed up, because I think we have everything that's needed here to be successful. We're doing it in real time. We've been self-funded up until this point. We've given away no equity, and we're doing great. So we would really have to just botch this and and really do something so stupid to destroy what we have, because we're only growing exponentially. I think it's been 100% month after month since March. So
more than that.
Even more than that. But just to be conservative, we've been growing very, very fast month after month. So I think 5 years from now, we're going to be in a very, very good position. I don't see us not being very successful.
And what does that look like? Success, like when you think about it?
It just looks like financial freedom means like I'll have everything I ever wanted. I'll have like, basically, honestly, my main goal in life has been to get my mom a log cabin and my dad a Lambo. So as long as I can get my mom the log cabin she wants, and my dad has the Lambo in the garage, that's what like success would look like for me.
Even if that's in Decentraland.
No, it has to be in real life.
I just want to clarify. I want to clarify on mic, so your parents aren't like, "Hey, Adam."
Yeah, no, it has to be. It has to be. They have sacrificed a lot for me, and I have so much available to me because of their sacrifice. So, like, if I can't give back to them tenfold, then I fucked up. Excuse my language, but I really messed up. So, like, I don't want to mess up, and I failed a lot until this point. I'm not gonna lie. A little backstory: me and Mas were in Thailand about like 4 years ago. 4 years ago, we were playing video games professionally together. And honestly, at the time, I thought we were going to be these all-stars in Asia. I saw us being like, we're going to be it. We're going to be the people. Honestly, I thought we were going to be superstars. I said, fuck, I even thought we were going to be in movies and shit. I said, we're going to be huge. Like, first Americans to go over to Asia to play professionally for this game. Like, I said, this is it. This is it. And then to come back home completely broke with my tail between my legs, man. I think I still have a check, honestly. My mom wrote me a check when I came back because I was dead broke. I had wasted my savings in Thailand. She had wrote me a check for $250 to put in my account so I could have money to like survive for that week and get back on my feet. And I was like, holy shit, this is the all-time low. I still have the check. I said, this is the lowest I think I've ever been in my entire life, that my mom fucking wrote me a check.
We went from the highest to the lowest point in our life in literally like a week.
Quick.
We didn't win. Then we lost. And then we were like, all right, let's move on to the next thing. And video games was done. It was done for us. And it just wasn't it.
Not it.
But I do want to give a shout out to everyone on our team. That's cool. You know, Jesse, Nick, Jared, community manager, Rachel, and Gabby. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for everybody working as a team to make collabs what it is.
And I think that's the biggest thing that people don't understand when coming into the space as an individual, and they think they're going to get a project off by just them or someone else. You need a team. You need a whole team that's dedicated to get that project done. Or honestly, I don't look at us as a project. We're a service, and it's taken a lot to build our service to where it is.
If you guys would like, I'd love to give you the chance to let people know where they can find you, website, social media, whatever the best way is for honestly anyone to get in touch with you that's listening.
So we mostly do work off of Twitter. All of our clients come from Twitter, and you can find us at Colabs LLC, COLABS LLC. That is on Twitter. And if you want to go to our website, it's co-labs.studio. So if you need to contact us, or if you want to join the team, if you are a developer, an artist that wants to join the team, anything else, IP attorney, whatever it is, you can go apply to be a team member. And if you want to fill out a contact form for any type of project that you need assistance with, we would love to set up a Zoom call and do anything from there.
Well, Tomas, Adam, thank you for joining. And we're probably going to continue the conversation about NFTs, because I was telling you I need to get one going for the podcast. So thanks for joining. And yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Awesome. Thank you, Jarrett.
Thanks for listening to this episode. And to learn more about Colabs, check out their website at co-labs.studio. That's co-labs.studio. And find them on Twitter at Colabs LLC, COLABS LLC. Please follow us on social media at More Than Blockchain, and check out our website at morethanblockchain.xyz to learn more about the pod. If you know someone who would gain value from this episode, please drop them the episode link via text, DM, or email. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you next time.